Today I want to share with you my current 3 favorite GarageBand guitar pedals, and I think a couple might surprise you. Welcome back to the Band Guide, where we use GarageBand to create professional sounding music. I'm your band guy, Colin, and before we get into today's video, I have a really exciting announcement. On Friday, March 11th, I'm going to be hosting a completely free live training on how to create a professional sounding mix in GarageBand. It's going to be awesome. You're going to get to watch me mix an entire song live right in front of you, where I walk through everything I'm doing and answering your questions along the way. You'll learn how to get your vocals to sit right in the mix, make GarageBand drums sound huge, and just generally create a clean, warm, professional sounding mix in GarageBand. Now, this training is completely free, but you have to sign up to attend. There's a link in the description below where you can sign up. And even if you can only come for a little bit of the event, go ahead and sign up, because I'll send out a replay so you can watch it after the fact. It's going to be really awesome, so be sure to sign up. I'm excited to have it. This is going to be some of my best material. I can't wait to share it with you. It's going to be really, really fun. Now, let's talk about my current 3 favorite GarageBand guitar pedals. All right, we have a song here. This is actually the song we're going to be using on the live training. I got kind of carried away when I was getting it ready the other day and ended up doing a full mix on it. But don't worry, we're going to be doing it totally fresh on the live training, but a little sneak peek for you. It has a couple good examples of my current favorite guitar pedals, and the first one I'm actually using on the bass. Let's check it out. Check this out right here. Pretty cool, right? Okay, so that bass is clearly shifting up in pitch. Now, a little context, I recorded the song years ago in Pro Tools, and it's a great example of how it's more about how you use what you use than what you use. So I always knew I could do a better mix, and I'm confident that I could do a better mix now in GarageBand than I did years ago in Pro Tools, which is a $600 or $700 DAW. So what I decided to do was add in new guitars with the GarageBand amp designer and new drums using the GarageBand drums, and really just build it out using GarageBand. I kept some of the original Pro Tools elements, but we can put it up against the Pro Tools mix, and you can see how it matters more about how you use what you use than what you use. So this bass is a great example of, I didn't re-record the bass because it was a totally fine bass part, it was a fine bass recording, and the only thing that I realized I wanted when I started getting it ready was a couple of different production elements. I really wanted this bass to slide up that octave that it's going into the next section. It's a great little production trick to up the energy, but I didn't necessarily want to re-record the whole bass just to do that a couple times in the song. And so what I did instead was use a whammy pedal to pitch shift it up and then back down. So if we go here to our pedal board, you can see the whammy. Now the whammy is a pitch shifter, and you can have it go all the way up to whatever you set the tune pitch to, and then all the way back down on the whammy. And so what we've done is we've set this to 12 semitones, which is an octave up, but you can set it anywhere from -24, which is 2 octave downs, all the way up to 24, so 2 octaves up. In this case, we just want to go up an octave. And what we do is we've set the automation on this bass guitar. If we go over to where it's happening here, we've set the automation here to pitch shift the pedal up at that point. So if we listen to this in solo, see what happened there? So this pedal literally shifted up, and that pitch shifts it into the position. It's a pretty cool effect, and you can use automation to really make it sound awesome. It sounds a little bit weird in solo, but in the context of the mix, I mean, you would never know, right? You would just assume that the bass player slid right there. It's a really cool effect, and I've actually used the same pedal in another place on the chorus of the song on the lead guitars. Let's go over to that really quick. So we'll go to this chorus here. And this lead guitar, we only tracked one lead guitar, but I wanted it to be a little bit bigger, warmer, wider in the context of the mix. And so what I did is I used the whammy to do an octave down. And I could have used the Dr. Octave or whatever the other octave pedal is for this one. This is just an octave down. But then I also wanted to do a slight weird chorusy thing where I shift 1 cent down, which is like a tenth. I think a cent is a tenth of a semitone. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong about that. But so just shifting it a little bit down and a little bit up in one ear. So one ear is down just a little bit, the other ear is up just a little bit, and that gives us this weird kind of chorusy sound. It sounds kind of weird, kind of bad in solo, but you add it in with the lead, and it gives you a lot of width. Take them away, it's kind of thin. Add them back in. Pretty cool, right? Listen to that in the context of the mix. When they're in, it just sounds bigger and wider and fills out the mix more. It's pretty cool. So before we move on, just a little bit more about the whammy pedal. If I solo this one here, I'll turn up the volume. This is the low octave right now. And the pedal determines the pitch, right? So with the bass, the pedal pushes forward and it moves up that octave. But this is how you get that kind of Tom Morello effect, right? That Rage Against the Machine kind of crazy effect. I actually had someone comment the other day, so if you're watching, let me know in the comments, saying, is there any other use for the whammy except the Tom Morello effect? And there is, you just have to be creative with it. So in this case, I'm doing a full octave shift down with it, and that works. It sounds a little bit more natural than other ways that you could shift it down. Okay, my second current favorite guitar pedal is actually on this lead guitar as well. And I'm not using the whammy on the main lead, it's this graphic EQ. So I used to never think at all about graphic EQ, but I realized recently that you can really do a lot of important tone shaping going into the amp if it's getting harsh or if you want to bring out a little bit more of a specific frequency. So in this case, this lead had this really kind of grating frequency. It's right around here, 3.2. And it just kind of hurts a little bit. It's not terrible, but I really don't care for it. So I'm taking it down a little bit and just making it a little bit more contained. And then I'm boosting up here around 400 hertz and just giving it a little more body, right? It's subtle, but you do a little bit of both of these things and it just cleans it up a little bit and gets it closer to the final tone that I want. I think it's really important to get your tones in the recording stage. Get as close to the final tone as you can. And so sometimes that means using a little bit of EQ into the guitar amp. And EQ after in the guitar amp wouldn't have fixed it in the same way because it's that distortion kind of reacting to those frequencies that's really making it grating. So really cool. Let's look at one other use for this EQ pedal in a different song real quick. This song is one I'm actually putting together right now for my Ultimate GarageBand mixing course. It's going to be a lot of fun, so keep an eye out for that. This song is currently completely unmixed. I haven't even finished editing it yet, so it's pretty raw, but just focus on the guitar tones. It's really what we're here for anyway. So check out this guitar tone and listen to what this graphic EQ is doing on it.
Lost my last job, can't lose this one all day long.
Okay, kind of subtle. Let me exaggerate it a little bit for you. Okay, when it's exaggerated, it's pretty extreme, but what it's doing is just adding this kind of presence and punch to the guitar by letting those frequencies push into the amp a little bit harder. Right, this is a little bit muddy. That's a little bit more aggressive, a little bit punchier. It's amazing. It's subtle, but if you do these subtle things throughout your mix, it really is going to help it sound better and more professional. Okay, my third favorite guitar pedal currently is actually right here. It's this grit. This grit sounds really good in my opinion. So in this case, what we're doing, the amp designer is barely breaking it up. So we just got the amp designer to where it was just starting to break up a little bit when the guitar was really playing its hardest. But then we're getting our distortion sound from this grit. So check out what this grit is doing on these guitars. I think it sounds really good. Let's go to a different distortion for just a second. Let's try this Double Dragon. This is another one I like pretty well and use pretty often. You can drive a little bit harder. It's a little bit, you know, it's a little bit cleaner. We could try the fat. Now check this grit out here. I mean, it's kind of crazy, right? So it depends on what you're going for, but I really like the sound of this grit. It has a kind of contained sound while still being a really aggressive, really gritty sounding guitar distortion. So those are my current 3 favorite GarageBand guitar pedals: the whammy, the graphic EQ, and the grit distortion pedal. I love the sound of that. They all have different purposes and they range from subtle to really extreme depending on what you're doing with it. But if you use those appropriately in your mix, you can do a lot of really fun things with it. Now, before we go, I want to hear from you. What is your current top GarageBand guitar pedal? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to sign up for that live training. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to show you exactly how to create a professional sounding mix in GarageBand completely free. Link in the description below. If this video is helpful, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next week with another video.
One thing